Hello and welcome to iRead, your library connection. I'm Jennifer Nuno. I'm here in the beautiful Valley Ranch Library. Irving Public Library is improving the community's quality of life by providing access to information for lifelong learning and by promoting the enjoyment of reading. In the next half hour, we will give you an inside look at events and programs the library has to offer. The library offers a lot of services for people looking for jobs, and it goes way beyond books. There are seminars, DVDs, and more. Thomas Gandy tells us how this program can be especially helpful in these tough economic times.
Now at the library, you can find all the headlines. Jobs are being slashed. Thousands more every week.
How much you put depends on how lengthy your experience is.
But also now at the library, you'll find help in this challenging job market.
It's just tough. It's just tough.
Lily Gillette was recently laid off from a job she had held for 19 years.
I work for an engineering firm downtown, and they were just downsizing.
And since she had not been looking for a job,
I don't have a resume.
You've got to be very accurate.
But she's learning how to write one at the library's resume writing workshop. Job seekers are learning how to describe their skills and avoid common mistakes.
I think the biggest mistake people make is to think that they can do a resume very quickly and that they don't have to really think about it. The other mistake they make is they'll do one resume and use it for everything. And the joy of word processors is that now you can tailor each resume to the particular job you're interested in.
Job seekers can also attend seminars on interviewing, finding jobs online, and even how to investigate companies.
So they know if they're going to have a layoff in 6 months, right after they've gotten a job there. So it really helps them evaluate a company as a long-term employer.
The library recommends this job center as a good starting point for any job search.
Everything in the job center is designed to help people choose a career, maybe choose a second or third career, evaluate what skills are required for a particular kind of job, what it would be like to have that kind of job, and then how to find a job.
Kelsey Digby found a stack of useful books.
The Interview Power, Resume for Dummies, and 30-Minute Resume Maker.
But these shelves contain more than just books.
I particularly like the videos and the DVDs we have on interviewing. Until you actually see someone interviewed, it's very hard to think about the mistakes that you're probably making.
So the workshops and the books here will help you brush up on your job hunting skills and maybe even find a profession. But what if you find out you don't have all the computer skills you need? The library has that covered too.
We teach computer basics, basic Word, basic Excel, basic PowerPoint, and basic Internet. So for people who maybe don't have an email account, don't really know how to use a computer, these classes are the perfect place for them to start.
This JobView kiosk is designed to make job searching simple.
It's very easy to use. It has a touch screen, so you don't really even need to know how to use a computer. We also have a link to it from the Job Center page on the library's website, too.
The library also holds quarterly job fairs designed to put job seekers face-to-face with employers who have positions available.
A lot of good opportunities here, and I've been filling out applications and everything like that.
You'll be able to bid for which shift you want, which days off.
Oh, do you?
The library's most recent job fair attracted a big crowd of job seekers.
This year we're seeing a lot more people that are recently laid off. I've talked to several people today that have just recently been laid off, so they are used to working, they want to work, they're trying to get back into the workforce as quickly as possible. So we've seen a lot of people that are interested in trying to get signed up and looking for work now.
It is a tough job market, but Chris Dobson says people are finding work.
There are jobs. It's just there's more competition. It's going to take people a little longer to find a job. Depending on what industry they're leaving, they may have to look at a career change.
And she encourages people to take advantage of the job fairs, workshops, and other resources to make that happen. Lily Gillette came to this session with no job and no resume. She'll leave knowing how to write.
A resume that will pop, that will sizzle, and that will cause someone to take a second look.
The job hunters here hope to buck the trend of bad economic news, turn the page on these grim headlines, and look to more prosperous times ahead. Thomas Gandy for iRead.
The job fair and seminars are held quarterly. The next fair is set for April 22nd. Workshops on resume writing, interviewing, job searching online, and how to investigate companies will be held the following week. And they are all free. Toddler Storytime is very popular at the Irving Public Library. It gives kids a chance to let their imagination run wild. Registration is required because the group size is limited. Adults must accompany their child and are encouraged to participate in activities.
Who do you see on the farm? I see a goat. Crunch, crunch, munch, munch.
Well, we have story time for all ages from about 4 months up to 6 years.
I see a cow. The cow is calling moo.
We love the stories, all the wonderful stories we can touch and feel. And we love they have like little rattles and musical instruments we kind of shake when we sing the songs.
Was his name, oh.
We have toys there for them to play with. We have bubbles for them to blow, and it's a good time for the parents and grandparents and nannies to kind of network and build a community of support, and just a fun time for the babies to play with each other.
My baby, he loves to come here a lot. It's more of socializing skills. He loves the toys, the books, the touch and feel books, and especially the rhymes, you know. I've been coming here since when he's almost like around 9 months. So he's right now 15 months. He loves to come here.
And this little piggy went wee, 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 all the way home. Good job.
My book is Ginny B. Jones is Almost a Flower Girl by Barbara Parks, and my favorite part was when she was practicing her lines throwing the flowers and a lady stood up and tripped and threw a punch all over her dress. Ginny B. Jones is practicing her lines as she walked down. Just then, a lady stood up and tripped by accident and spilled punch all over Ginny B. Jones' dress. "Oh no, I am so sorry," the lady said. Ginny B. Jones was real nervous and real embarrassed. Just then, the phone rang and Ginny B. Jones' mom picked it up.
This is my favorite book because it talks about eyes, and eyes is very important. My eyes see, his eyes see.
My favorite book is The End by Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events. I like this book because it's mystery and it has a lot of action in it. Ignore. Sunny says, putting her coconut shell and soup on the ground so she could share it with the curly, deadly viper. My sister means that it seems this island has plenty of secrets.
My favorite book is The Lion Thief by Rick Riordan. I like it because it is the fanciest book in the world, because it has all the Greek gods that are fantasy, and I love fantasy books. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is close this book right now. Believe whatever lie your mom or dad told you about your birth and try to lead a normal life.
Anyone in North Texas can join the Irving Public Library. To get a card, you just need a valid form of identification. The library is entering an exciting time. A new vision plan has been adopted that places a full-service public library in all 4 quadrants of the city, within 3 miles of every resident. Join us as we bring the Irving Public Library's vision in focus.
I'm Patty Landers. As director of Irving Public Library, I've seen many changes occurring within the city and in our libraries. Right now, the library is entering an exciting time that will not only enhance the community's access to our libraries, but improve customer service as well. 2 pending library projects support the city's strategic plan, specifically Goal 7, to promote excellence in Irving's cultural, recreational, and educational environments. A new vision plan has been adopted that places a full-service public library in each of the 4 quadrants of the city, within 3 miles of every residence. It's an ambitious undertaking and very exciting. The first step in the vision plan is to replace the existing storefront northwest branch on Beltline Road. A new 25,000 square foot library will be built near Esther's and Rochelle Roads. At the initial community input meeting, the participants expressed the need for the new library to be a hub of community information, reflect the diverse culture and age range of the local community. And residents also asked that the new library include expanded children's and teen areas, study rooms and meeting spaces, and a large computer center. Community input is one of the first steps in assuring that the new library is a destination not only for nearby neighborhoods, but for all of Irving. Once the initial building design phase is completed, a second community input meeting will be scheduled. You can keep up to date on new developments in the building process on the library's website under the About the Library section. Please let us hear from you. Another new development that complements the vision plan is the transition to a new, more user-friendly online catalog. The new catalog will not only transform the way the library serves you, but will also change the way you use the library. With the new interactive catalog, customers will enjoy many enhanced features like easy navigation, content-rich information, and access to more electronic resources and databases 24 hours a day. The catalog is scheduled to go live in early April. The staff has been well trained and is prepared to help you during the transition. The Irving Public Library has a strong commitment to serving the needs of its customers. We're pleased to have these 2 new opportunities to do just that. So come see what's new at the library. It really is more than a card.
Pam Lang, a professor from SMU, talked with Steve Berry about the Charlemagne Pursuit.
Welcome to the show at Irving Public Library. We're talking this time with Steve Berry, who's here to talk about his new book, Charlemagne Pursuit. Welcome to the show.
Good to be back.
Great. Now, why Charlemagne and what's the pursuit? Let's talk about the title first.
He's just a fascinating character. I mean, this is a guy who lived to be 74 at a time when people died in their 20s. He ruled for 47 years when kings would rule for less than 5. He was very progressive. He had a lot of insight. He was not a conqueror, though he did conquer, but he wasn't a conqueror per se. He surrounded himself with scholars. He did all kinds of things very different for his time, and that got me wondering, what if he had a little help?
Yeah, and the book is just fascinating because you went to the places where he lived. You went to in Germany.
We went to Aachen. It's on the cover. The cathedral is there on the cover. I spent 4 days inside the cathedral staring around trying to figure out the pursuit, and eventually I did. All of the realizations that Cotton Malone comes to in the book, I came to while in the cathedral.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about Cotton Malone. Now, you're bringing him back for how many?
4 times.
4 times, and he's a very interesting character.
He is. He was born in Copenhagen one afternoon. I was sitting in a cafe there looking out at the square at Hybro-Plads, and it hit me all at once that Cotton Malone needs to live right here. He needs to have his bookstore right over there, and he needs to be an old bookseller, and this is where he needs to be. And he's evolved. This is his 4th adventure, and it's a very personal story. This book is a little different for me. It's a little departure. It's a little more character-driven, though I didn't skimp on the action. There's a lot in there. It's my longest book that I've ever done, and there's a lot of story here as we find out what happened to Cotton Malone's daddy 38 years ago.
Yeah, because that's what the book is about, really. His desire to find out what actually happened to his father, who was in a submarine. So you have all kinds of plot strands.
Oh, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
He was Cotton is drug into this fight that he doesn't realize this fight's going on. He's after one thing, but there's a group of some other folks who are after something else. And they collide, and they end up in Antarctica in a very interesting and very spooky ending to this book.
Yes, that certainly is, and we can't talk about some of these things but Antarctica, now you haven't been there.
No, I haven't. I would love to go. That's on my, I want to touch all 7 continents. I'm missing 2, and that's one of them that I'm missing, but I'm going to make it there one day.
Yeah, because it sounds fascinating and all that you found out about that very cold climate.
Things I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that things did not rot in Antarctica. I thought it was like the Arctic where things would deteriorate, but it's not the case.
That doesn't, yeah.
Nothing rots. There's nothing indigenous that lives there. There's no bacteria there. There's no deterioration there. The nails put in the 19th century inside the cabins are as shiny as the day they were put in.
Wow.
The wood looks exactly like the day it was put in. It does nothing rots and deteriorates, and so that got me thinking. You know, what else could not rot? So it's interesting to fit with the story.
Because your books are so fascinating to read because you find out about so many things you didn't even know about that you're thinking, well, I need to look up Charlemagne, I need to look up Antarctica, I need to look up the Nazis, because we have Nazis in there too.
We have the 1938 expedition that the Nazis did to Antarctica, which was fascinating. They actually did that. They went down there. They flew over the northern part of the continent and threw little swastikas down into the ice, which is very interesting, staking their claim. And they called it New Schwabiland, and they took it. That eventually was taken over by Norway and became Queen Maud Land, which is what it's called today. And they staked their claim there, and that just fascinated me. What were they doing down there? Of course, you know, the New Agers would say they were looking for secret bases and all this kind of stuff. Mostly they were looking probably for minerals and natural resources and things of that nature. It is not a hospitable place. It was not a place that the technology of the time they could have tamed in any way.
No.
And they found that out. They left and never returned.
And I understand now that you're not needing to have a day job. You've decided that you're doing well enough to keep writing novels.
I decided that my brain could not do two anymore, was the main thing. It scares me because I gave up my job, which is where my employment came from. I was a lawyer for 30 years, and only in the last couple of weeks has that been the case. In fact, the last couple of days is the first time I've gone to my office with nobody there. And it's been a little bizarre to go in there and there's nothing there. The drawers are empty, the file cabinets are empty, the secretaries are all gone, and the phone doesn't ring, and it's closed, and it is a little bizarre.
Is that a scary thing?
It's terrifying. Yes, it is. Yes, because but it came a point where I had to choose. My brain couldn't do two things. It couldn't do it anymore.
Especially with the kind of complex plots.
And the time. The writing begins to wear on you time-wise. For example, now I'm on tour, and I'll be gone for 5 weeks, so I'm not there. And we travel a lot. There's a lot of things involved in it, and the time was just, I had to make a choice. But I was conservative. I waited to the 7th book, you know, and 18 years into writing. So it's been 18 years of writing, 7 books published before I decided to walk away.
Now, I've noticed that a lot of lawyers do write books. They like. Why is that? You hear human stories all the time, or just
yes,
and
they like to write legal thrillers and things because we deal with some incredible things and we hear these incredible things. I don't write legal thrillers because I lived them, and I practiced law for 30 years, and the last thing in the world I wanted to do was write about them. I wanted to write about things that I could escape the practice of law, because I did divorce work, so I did a lot of divorces, a lot of miserable experiences. So I wanted a little bit of history, a little bit of action, a little bit of conspiracy, international settings. That's what I was looking for. So I gravitated there. But a lot of lawyers do write, but they write what they know. I write what I love.
That's good. And you obviously love history. You love the connection between the past and the present.
Yes, I very
the
much
search
like that.
for an answer.
Yes,
because I remember.
I love all that kind of the things lost and things like that fascinate me. And that's why I started writing those books, was to escape the practice of law, not necessarily to relive it.
And did you have any lessons in writing or anything like that?
I did. I was taught every Wednesday night for 6 years. I would go to a writer's group and I would read my chapter out loud and I'd get my tail kicked.
Oh, did you
Yeah,
really?
They would kick my tail and tell me how awful it was, and they would tear it apart, and I would go home and rewrite it, and I'd come back and they'd tear it apart again. And I went through that process for 6 years of that, and that's how I taught myself the craft of writing. There's no one can teach you how to write. You have to teach yourself. But there are some folks who can help keep you on the path to teach yourself, and my writers group did that for me.
Well, that's good. That's good. So you would, and that always had been a dream of yours from the beginning, or not?
I never knew that. I had a little voice in my head in the 80s that told me to write, and I ignored it for about 10 years. And then finally in 1990, I listened to it, and I realized then that what the little voice was. Now I know that all writers have a little voice in their head. Everyone I've ever met tells me the same thing. The little voice in my head tells me to do this.
To keep doing it.
Yes, the only thing I thought was crazy. I didn't know what that was, but every writer has that little voice that drives you forward, because it's the only thing that can drive you forward, because it's such a horrible experience in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Because you pour your guts out, you work your tail off, and then you're told how awful it is. And then you're told how bad it is, and you do it. And it's not a pleasant experience. I mean, there's nothing pleasant about it unless you're just a masochist and like to be beat up on, to do. So that little voice, though, is what drives you forward and keeps you working, trying to get better, because none of us know how to write. There's not a writer in the world who knows how to write. All we can hope for is what we wrote today is better than yesterday. What we write tomorrow is better than today. That's all we can. It doesn't get any better than that.
And of course, how did you get your first novel accepted by a publisher? That's not easy, I'm sure.
Well, I wrote 8.
8 were first, okay.
Yeah, and 5 were submitted and rejected 85 times.
Whoa!
So it was a very long process for me. The Amber Room was bought the second time around on the 86th submission, and it was just right place, right time, right moment. Luck comes into it, but you make your own luck by hanging in there.
You never give up.
No,
I mean, you'd think you would give up after that.
Well, I mean, I did 3 times. I did quit 3 times, but the little voice comes back and says, okay, you've had your pity party, enough's enough, get back in there and go to work, and do it. And that's what drives you forward. There's nothing else that drives you forward. As I said, you're not getting any compliments, you're not making any money at it, you're not getting it, no one's reading what you're writing, nothing's happening. You're just writing it, you're being told it's awful, it goes in a drawer, you start again. You write it, you've been told it's awful, you do it. Now, the interesting thing is 3 of those books that were told they were awful made it to print. Amber Room, Romanoff Prophecy, and Third Secret. But, it's timing. It's all about timing. It's all about that. And in my case, when the Da Vinci Code came back and the genre came back to life, I got a break.
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. So that is obviously the search for the code, the people looking through history to find the answers to current questions.
What Da Vinci did, it brought the international suspense thriller back to life. That genre had died in the 1990s. He brought that back. He didn't invent it.
No.
He brought it back. And he gave it life again, but it came back in a new form. It wasn't a spy thriller anymore. It was a little bit of history, a little bit of secrets, a little bit of conspiracy, international. And guess what I was writing? That exact same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
And Mark Tavani at Ballantine Books was looking for that very thing on the 86th time when it hit his desk.
And then he
said,
were.
That's what I want.
And the rest is history. Well, they are obviously very exciting. They're well written. They're full of characters that aren't just postage stamps, they're not just, you're not, I think you're lucky, but I think people have to realize that if they want to write, it's also the hard work and accepting this endless rejection and just sticking to it, sticking to their guns.
Today,
it's lonely.
I have to continue to write. I've just finished the new novel. It took me a year to write it. I'm getting ready to start next year's novel, and then I write 4 to 6 hours every day. And
wow.
And then I research another 2 hours a day. So it's an 8 or 10 hour day every day. Even though I don't practice law anymore, I still have that job.
You have a job, and I think people have to realize that too. It's not just a miracle.
Oh, no,
no one just gave you this wonderful
It takes me
career.
every day of 12 months to write that book. I can't waste a day.
Because it's so well researched, it's so interesting. But you can tell that. That's what I like about it. I mean, now I'm just fascinated with looking up all these things that I didn't know.
Well, I hope I do that. I
too
hope
much
people
about
get
the story. Plus, it's the history in there, and the the use of the even just thinking. Well, maybe there were these watchers, these original people there when Charlemagne.
To be honest with you, that is becoming more science than pseudoscience in the thought processes. Is perhaps there were civilizations that existed on this planet prior to our civilizations that we have no record of, and that's becoming more and more possible, not necessarily science fiction, but more possible. Neolithic sites are being found all over the world that nobody knew existed before.
Yeah, it's really, well, people have to read the book and then do their research and find out about all these fascinating things. So thank you so much for being with us.
Appreciate you having me.
This is Barry's 4th thriller, and those who love the suspense of the Da Vinci Code will enjoy the Charlemagne Pursuit. To learn more about Barry and other featured authors on Author Talk, check out www.ictn.tv.
You should try and find her, she said. Maybe she's run away from home. She paused for a moment and thought about her brother.
I love the book club because I'm an avid reader, and when I finish a book, I always want to sit and discuss it with someone else who who's read it, and this gives me the opportunity to actually discuss it with other people.
Any blind
That's right.
for perfect summer.
Yeah.
The book we read was called What Was Lost, and today we kind of dissected the characters and maybe the meaning of the book.
It took me a while to catch on. I had
To figure
flip
out what
back
was going on,
Yeah, I had to flip back a little bit and make sure.
It's just as part of my calendar as anything is. It's a great organization.
She contrasts that with the downtown and what the culture of the mall is like. So I think that's interesting. And
I love the interaction among the women and the comments that people have to make about the various books that we read. It's interesting to hear their take on the book that we've read and things that I may have not even noticed while reading the book. And it's a nice group of women, too.
Thanks to Jan, is Tea and Talk, and so she always brings us all sorts of nice teas and really excellent goodies. So I also come for the goodies. When it finally came, it was a flat envelope, not a packet. She recognized her brother's handwriting, but could see that it wasn't a tape. She waited for a long time before she opened it, trying not to hope that it might contain a letter, words, a voice from the past. She took a knife and cut it open. If you want to know more, you have to read the whole book.
Irving Chautauqua Performance Series featured the Ring Around the Collar comedy tour at the Central Library Auditorium. Here's your library scene.
Grandkids and scrapbooks and black and white movies, shopping and eating, but never at Luby's. Elastic waistbands and the comfort they bring. These are a few of our favorite things.
Today was one of our monthly Chautauqua presentations. The Chautauqua was originated in upstate New York, and it was originally a summer school for teachers. And the concept was so popular that they took it on the road, and they had traveling Chautauquas in the late 1800s and early 1900s.
We should get together and do lunch or something sometime. Oh, why did I say that? What if she takes me up on it?
Every month on the second Saturday we have some sort of a performance. Today's was the comedy sketch with Judy Truesdell and Kathy Whiteman.
I wonder if it's getting chilly in hell. Listen, I will be looking forward to it, like a root canal.
We try to look for an event that will be interesting and entertaining for the entire family.
All right, here is my last golden moment of motherhood, and then I'll stop. This was just funny. She had hurt herself, and she was little again, 3-ish or some age, and she was suffering and crying and whimpering, and it was bedtime. She said, "Mommy, will you come tuck me in?" Like I didn't, I said, "Yes, I will." I tucked her in. She said, "Mommy, will you sit on the side of my bed with me?" I said, "Yes, I will." She said, "Mommy, will you stay with me until I stop talking like this?" And I had to just sort of turn my head so I wouldn't just laugh right at her, And I said, "Okay." She went, "Well, phew, there's a day's work."
Every month we have people say, "I didn't know the public library did this." And of course every month we see people who've come to the previous months, and they're always happy that they've had a good fun afternoon and it didn't cost them anything.
We simply remember that life's pretty good, and then we smile like we should.
Now you can check out and download from anywhere. All you need is a library card. Looking for a chess club or a list of charter schools? The Irving Community Information Wiki is a city-specific, free online site that contains many local resources. How about an audiobook? You can download it for free and even burn it on a CD. Want free music? You can find it here too. Join me next time here on iRead to learn more about programs and resources available at your Irving Public Library. For more information about the Irving Public Library or to sign up for their free monthly newsletter, check out www.irvinglibrary.org. I'm Jennifer Nuno with iRead, your library connection.
Friendly atmosphere and, just about anything that would be beneficial to somebody that needs information.
Well, the people are nice here, and they have a lot of books that I enjoy.
It's very open, and people are very friendly.
I know just about everybody here. They're my friends.
It's a place they can come to when they want entertainment, when they want a good book, of course, or to find out something new. It's a place that expands people's horizons.